Welcome to the Smart Museum, our project for the Programming for IoT exam. This is the smart system which will provide to our visitors some enjoyable visits to the museum itself and to the curators some enlightening statistics about the exhibitions. So this is a complete view of our scheme. As it can be seen, there are several entities. Each one of them has a different role in the system, but as the image suggests, there are mainly 5 groups in which we can collect them. And these essentially are the catalog, which is the core of our model and essentially is a device and event registry. Then we have the so-called user interface, which consists on a Telegram bot and a freeboard page. Then we have the database server, which essentially is the collector of the raw data published by the sensors. Then there is the post-processing part, which consists of 4 servers which are in charge of elaborating the raw data collected by the database server and publish them to the user interface when stimulated. Finally, there is the sensor part, which listens for new data and eventually send them to the database server. In order to connect the different elements of our system, we decided to use 2 main protocols, which are MQTT and a RESTful protocol. The MQTT protocol is represented by the red dashed lines, while the RESTful connections are the ones in light green and darker green. The RESTful connections are represented with 2 different colors, only to clarify which are the connections used for the proper service, and which only regards the updating part with the catalog.
We can now look at our system working. First of all, we start the catalog, and from now on we'll see each actor of the system starting authenticating inside the catalog throughout some put requests. We can start, for example, the database server, which we found, of course, here. Now the database server is on, but we do not have an active broker. We start it on the Raspberry Pi. Now the database server has found through the catalog the broker and has subscribed to all the Smart Museum topics. We start also the Telegram bot, which we are going to see better later. And we take a look at the publishers. We now have the subscriber, which is the database server, which checks all the coming data, and if they are correct, it puts them inside our database, which will be then consulted by our web services. But we have to produce such data, of course, and the first data we see are the temperature data. Here we start the true temperature sensor, which is placed in our Raspberry Pi. The other 4 are some simulated sensor, which I am starting and I am assigning to different rooms. They publish roughly every minute, and we already have some data stored in the database in order to present some meaningful statistics, but we are going to see in a minute that they are going to simulate data or to sense data in the rooms. The same we can do for the Bluetooth scanners. This one is the true Bluetooth scanner placed in the Raspberry Pi in room 1, as we had with the temperature, and we start also the scanners simulated in the other rooms. In this case I am starting them, but they will not sense any estimate, any client inside the museum, because at this moment the museum is virtually empty. We have no estimates assigned to clients. All our 5 estimates are free. We will see that to simulate the entrance of a customer inside the museum, we will have to take one estimate throughout the Telegram bot. We see, for example, here that the rooms are starting to publish their temperature data which are arriving to the database server, which is inserting them in the database if they are correct, which in this case they are. The catalog is continuously updated with the requests, because each sensor and each actor of our system has to periodically re-authenticate to the catalog. We can start our web servers in the meantime. We have the generate path server and the where I am server, which are needed for the functionalities of the Telegram bot. And then we have the two servers which provide general statistics about the popularity of the rooms and the temperature of the rooms, which are needed for the presentation of general data throughout Freeboard pages. In this moment, everything is active. We see that the sensors are active. The scanners for the Bluetooth are active, but are not sensing any client, as I was saying before. Here we have the Freeboard pages. We can start them, but we'll comment them later. Now we try to simulate ourselves being a customer which is entering the museum and wants to use the functionalities of the Telegram bot. If we start, we are asked which of the 5 estimates was given to us by the reception. If, for example, we are taken Picasso will be our guide, and we can now exploit our functionalities. First of all, we want to decide which rooms of the museum we want to visit. We have 3 options which can be suggested to us by the bot: quick visit, medium visit, and long visit. If, for example, we choose to do a medium visit of the museum, a medium visit is suggested to be of 3 rooms, and the most popular ones are chosen by the bot or by the generate path servers, which communicates with the bot, taking the popularity data from the database and present it to us in this way. So we should visit these 3 rooms in a medium visit. Thank you, and we can start the visit. At this point, we are in the museum, we are doing our visit, and at any time, if we want some additional information about the room we are in and the artistic movement which we are visiting at the moment, we can press to check my position. In this case, we are, for example, in the Neoclassicism room, and if we want to know more about the artistical movement, the bot is happy to provide us some information and some additional links. We can continue our visit, check my position as many times as we want. In the end, we can exit when we have finished our visit. In this case, we can see, for example, that in the Bluetooth scanners sensed the presence of the Picasso estimate, which is associated to this MAC address, and the Picasso estimate has been seen in room 1, in room 3, and in room 2. Now it's exited, so it's no more sensed anymore. We can look now at the Freeboard pages. These are, as I said before, thought to be for the museum administration. They present statistics about the popularity of the rooms and about the temperature of the rooms. In the Smart Museum Day page, we have data about, obviously, the last 24 hours. We have data about the temperatures, which are quite easy to straightforward to look at. We have the average temperature for this period of time, an evolution of the temperature of the last in the last moments, we can say, and then the minimum and the maximum temperature for that room, which we have in this case in the last 24 hours. Then we have data for all the rooms, and we have 2 indicators for the popularity of the rooms. These are the room's popularity and the room's visit. We chose to give 2 metrics in order to amplify a bit our presentation capability. They are quite similar, but not exactly the same. The room with the most visits are the rooms where a visit is intended as a person entering a room and staying in that room as much as he wants. So while the sensors are repeatedly sensing that I am in the impressionism room, for example, this is not counted for this ranking. It's just that I enter in the Impressionism room, and I'm there. In the other case, instead, we have the room's popularity, so the room where people stay the most. If I stay for 5 minutes inside the neoclassicism room, I am counted several times each time that I am sensed inside that room, which is roughly about every 15 or 30 seconds. The two rankings may vary one from the other. For example, in this case, in the last 24 hours, the room 1 is the most popular, but we have some differences in the second and third position, which may be useful to understand how things go in the museum. We have another completely equal freeboard dashboard which is general, so for all the week, all the time we have data in our database. The two are slightly different, of course, because the Smart Museum Gen page comprehends much more data, but the functionalities are the same. In this case, we can see, for example, that also the popularity rankings of the rooms vary between the last day and the last week. This is practically it. Everything is still going and updating. We have our catalog, our database server, the bot and the broker. The sensors are publishing. Here we don't have clients in the museum anymore, so everything is silent, but as soon as someone picks up the Telegram bot and enters the museum selecting an estimate, he will be tracked inside the museum. So this is it. I hope you enjoyed our presentation, and see you soon in our Smart Museum.